Hello, everyone. Yeah, I think we're stable at this number of participants. So, I mean, the door is still open. So if anyone jumps in, no worries. First of all, let me tell you, this is not going to be one of those never-ending webinars. So I want to take 30 or 45 minutes max of your time. Let's try to keep that time productive. And my goal is to let you after that continue with your everyday work, but give you something for thinking or make you thinking after this. So how are we going to spend those 30 to 45 minutes is basically this. So just a couple of intro slides, short story, why are we sitting here and what do we as Adacta try to help our customers with. Most of this webinar is going to be a demo on 3 or maybe 4 demo applications and various case studies. We'll see how time lets us do it. And Q&A, questions and answers, is put in the end, but please feel free to write anything into this question and answers bar that you have. I hope those notifications will pop up to me, and then I'll see if I can answer you live or via private text if I don't have time to catch all the questions. Okay, so I mean, you've probably seen this Amazon Go video that's been running on LinkedIn. I think last month or something. I've also seen it in some event in Belgrade a year ago now, and yeah, it's today somewhere and it's future here at our region. But nevertheless, I mean, if you think about job you do, it's great to dream about. And what's the problem is that if in this dreaming you forget about doing these baby steps and you jump over them. So I mean, just to give you perspective of this reality check. So for example, like 30% of regional FMCG companies do not have their websites in mobile-ready design. Or maybe just to put it more into perspective of modern trading and shopping online, I found the data for Serbia, but I'm sure it's quite similar in all countries in region. So 0.0007, so I mean close to 0% of food sales was done online in 2017. So yeah, you can see this is really close to 0, but I mean, it's not my intention to demotivate you, just to show you that we still do have some time, until we have to deal with various Amazon Go's here in our region. Until then, I suggest all of us, to solve those baby steps. And if we speak about baby steps in this world that we're working in analytics world, I mean, those would be to organize a proper reporting in your company and proper analytical tool. And I'm not sure how's the situation at your place, but from Adacta's experience in the last 6 to 10 years, I think that really majority of the companies is still using an Excel as a primarily BI tool. I mean, don't get me wrong, there is basically nothing wrong with an Excel. It's probably one of the best softwares ever developed, and it's the best solution in the world, how users like to call it, until you misuse it, and then it becomes basically the worst solution in the world for what you're using it. And I mean, think about your everyday tasks or everyday tasks around of people around you, and you'll see that they're doing a lot of tasks and a lot of activities that actually do not bring any value to your company. I mean, think of manually extracting data from systems and doing it every day. Think of VLOOKUPing 2 Excels in one and doing it every day or every week with the same data set. And then controlling the numbers you've got, because yeah, it's a live solution. I mean, whatever you write in there, you'll have that number. And then just in the end, after all it's done, building, I don't know, Excel charts or PowerPoint slides and repeating it every day or every week or every month, that's really time consuming. And yeah, you spend your time working something, but those are the activities which hardly bring value to your company's goal. I mean, so where's the catch? Well, the major problem is that if you spend 6 to 8 hours doing that, you don't have any much of it left to do what you're actually paid to do. So I mean, maybe some of you seen these questions sent by our partner Install, who helped us organize this. But think about these answers. So think about historical answers like, what was my sales last month? What were our biggest customers last month? What was the top seller in the last year? And you know, those are the historical questions. Those are the basics. You shouldn't spend any time trying to get answer to those. You know, those should be available to you each and every day. And now probably all of you are going to know how much time do you take per month to actually know the right figures for the previous month. And now on the other hand side, think about these questions. So think about, for example, what would be the optimal marketing channel to increase marketing awareness of exact product X, you know, or how many products Y should you produce to reduce oversupply in a winter season or summer season, depends on how seasonal the job is. And for example, what sales rep is the best to manage a new customer to maximize a potential profit. And yeah, you see those from historical data or do some simple modeling, but you see the difference. You know, answering these second sets of questions can actually bring you some value and probably money to your company. And yeah, if you're questioning yourself where to use it, I mean, basically everywhere, you know, in each and every floor of your company. I know not all of you are have this many floors, but nevertheless, in each and every department. So starting from sales and marketing, digital analytics, production efficiency, manufacturing, whatever, to all supporting businesses like, I don't know, HR, P&L at finance, CFOs, etc. So yeah, I mean, that will be a long story short. I think it took me 7 minutes, so we're on track. And yeah, let's jump on these demos. So for example, what I will definitely run you through is this customer sales demo, which is the most generic one I could find to touch all of you. So sales, customers, vendors, etc. And I'll do some power demo there, so show you also some functionalities of a solution. The second one is the supply chain, so inventory and product availability, so managing stock in an interesting way. And then we'll see how we're left on time. I'm gonna either show you something directly for retail, like analyzing margin erosion, or something a little bit out of the box, just to give you you know, food for thought, is this store site selection. So it's also a retailer's problem, helping you decide where you should or could open a new store or analyze a current stores. Okay, so let's jump on the first one. I will keep this red dot here on my cursor. I think it's going to help you see what I'm doing. So this in front of you is the solution we work with here at Adacta. It's called Click, but I'm not going to put it in a first place here. So we'll try to talk about a solution. How we organize these kinds of solutions is in this dashboard report analysis concept. So we start with few simple KPIs, you know, giving you an idea of a current status in your company, like margin, comparison to last year or to budget, and then drill a little bit deeper into details of sales by products, by margins, by regions, by sales reps, by product groups, or basically by any dimension that you feel comfortable dealing with. Okay, and now, I mean, how do you even start using a solution? So everything you have in this application, sales, products, vendors, sales reps, etc., all of it is basically indexed for a search. So think about it. Let's say we're trying to find low performance, so we're losing like 12% year over year, and we're trying to find low performers, and you just write it, you know. So a solution tells you that basically you can find a low performance in this chart, this chart, this chart, or you can find it in a field called customer address, ship to address, sales rep performance, etc. And you basically see that this is a tag that you're searching for. So you're searching for sales reps that have been tagged as a low performance, and you select them. And from now on, all of the analytics that you see in each and every sheet here, we got 5 of those, is showing you only the data of low performers. And if you take a look here, you can see why they are low performers. So their sales variance is, you know, negative, so less than 0. And let's focus on top 3, or should we call them bottom 3, and analyze, I mean, what's the key problem. So now this is their sales. So first issue we can see is basically that we have high margin products, you know, ones that we are earning most on, and their sales is almost close to 0, you know. Also, on the other hand side, it says colored by number of lost customers. You see that basically in top selling categories, they are losing customers, you know, so quite a few problems there. If we move further in this analysis, we can also see, for example, so take a look at this. This is a sales versus margin scatter plot, or how do we call it? And it's showing us data for central sales, southern sales, western, and northeast. And actually, we're not seeing any data in this northeast part, you know. So it means that these 3 guys, yeah, sorry, 2 guys and a girl, yeah, didn't have any sales actually in northeast region. And now a proper question would be, I mean, where's the issue? Is that theirs problem? Is that a region's problem, or whatever? And best way to find that out is take a look at this. So I can click on this filter showing me the sales reps I've selected, and I have an option select alternatives. So alternatives would be all other low performers except those 3. Okay, so maybe the best comparison group I have. And when I select that, I can see that these other guys, you know, have just a regular northeast sales. I mean, not the best result, but some of sales is happening there. I can even roughly select that region, you know, and see basically that fresh vegetables, hot dogs, I have a couple of nice top sellers there, and I can probably suggest them, you know, to use, for example, these fresh vegetables and start selling them, because obviously it's not a region problem. Just to make sure, I want to take another look in these fresh vegetables. So I have another information here, and blue color means that those are really stable, that they're not losing the customers. So same thing as we saw in products and product groups categories, you know, where this orange shows us losing customers and blue ones showing us stable categories. In the same thing, blue shows us here that fresh vegetables are quite stable, yeah, which is more or less expected. And just a final check after we select it, what can I see is that majority of those products have really short lead time, you know. So from the date I order it, I'm going to have them in my location in 2 or 4 days. So basically, this is pretty much the immediate reaction we can take, you know, to try to cover a part of this gap that these 3 guys as a low performance did. Now let's just take an example that I don't have any data I wanted to have here, and I would like to build something on my own. Okay, so what I can do is create a new sheet, more or less like in a Excel to compare it. Okay, and this new sheet is basically empty. Okay, it's empty, but I can fill it up with any chart that I want, any predefined maybe visualization I need, or basically with any data I have here underlying my application. Okay, so let's assume that I would like to test into a little more details region, okay, and my sales amount on that. Okay, so this is a new project. Remember, I selected only a few regions, that's why I can see only this. Okay, what I would definitely like to see is some kind of a trend line. I hope I have some month. Yeah, I have a month here, and let's say budget percentage. I guess that's achievement. Yeah, same thing here. Let's put it more nicely here. Yeah, great. And let's take an example that what I would like to see is detailed pivot table. Okay, with a couple of dimensions. So for example, with starting with a region name, okay, then continuing with a regional manager, and then continuing with I have some product category, yeah, product group, and maybe less details to make it product. Okay, so product. Okay, and now interesting part at the measures. I'll show you on the left-hand side, we have what is called master items. So these are the measures that were already prepared for you. So for example, if you take a look at let's find something new, number of new customers, amazing. So take a look at it. It's some not that complex, but a complex expression beside it, and you actually don't have to worry about it. This was done in a project phase, you know, but with your, I don't know, key users or something like that. So what you just do is take these new customers and drag them here, okay? And now you can see that the guys I've selected, those sales reps, those low performers, had only 2 new customers in Central and 3 new customers in Northeast region, okay? And let's think of this as some serious conclusion that we would like to share with someone, you know? And what we can do is take a snapshot. So let's think of it as a print screen, okay? Let's clear all those low performers to see how other guys are fitting there. Okay, so yeah, the situation is a little better. So let's take another print screen, for example. Okay, and let's say that this actual versus budget is something that we also want to share with someone. Okay, so now what I can do is create a new story. Story actually should be a presentation. Think of it as my presentation. Okay, and this presentation of course can be exported to PowerPoint or to PDF, but what I can do with it is use the screenshots I've made, okay, to draw an explanation. So for example, I don't know, this is something which was really important for me. Okay, I have a title there, I can write a description, and now, not to waste my time on preparing some beautiful slide, what's important is that you can drop your logo there or whatever you need. And the key part is that once you run in a presentation mode, and please take a look, we're still in the same solution. What you can do is that when you're on a meeting and someone does not agree that all the regions were above the budget, what you can do is right click and go to source, which basically moves you and throws you back from this presentation to the analytical part. And now what you can see is, I mean, so-called crime scene, you know, so where the screenshot was made. So if you write Northeast, and you select it, here it is, region name. Now you can see, yeah, you're right, you know, for first half of a year, and the Northeast region was really below the budget. And you can check the other, yeah, Central region did not have any problem with it. Southern, more or less fine, yeah. And Western, couple of months with an issue, but yeah, you were right. So I think we have a issue in Northeast region. And then again, return to a presentation. So I now just try to compare this with a process where you have this, I don't know, Excel, PowerPoint, and email. From our experience, most of the companies use that circle, you know, to make a presentation. So yeah, let this short power demo be first thing for your thinking. Yeah, let's jump on a second one. Second one would be, let me show you an intro slide. Yeah, this is a demo consolidating so POS data, stock level data in our stores and in our warehouses, yeah, and a product distribution in our sales. Okay, so let's say I'm some kind of category manager for this one of these categories, and I'll try to analyze the status of my stock here. You know, I'll put myself in a previous week. That's how I start my analysis. Let's imagine I'm in previous week. And so what I would like to dig into a little bit deeper is information that I have only 84% of items in stock in my category. So 16% of the items is out of the stock or could be out of the stock soon. So if I drill deeper into it, what I get here is the 2D visualization of a sales amount and an inventory amount. And immediately I can see some outliers. For example, something, okay, fruits, that's reasonable that I have high sales and a low inventory on it because it's a fresh product. Yeah. Nevertheless, what I want to make sure is that my top sellers, and these are those four, you know, are good on stock, so that I don't lose anything on them. And if I see if I take a look at my KPIs, sales started to drop, so maybe there is some stock reason inside it. Let's take a look here. Yeah, 214 stores short on stock, so almost, I don't know, 60%. Yeah, let's see who are those. I mean, which stores are they? If you take a look at this chart here, I'll zoom it a bit. It shows us that basically projected sales, projected for next week, but actual sales for previous weeks was quite high in 41 and 42 weeks. I know we had some brand promotions there, so this is probably a consequence, And if I take a look at this information here, overs means that I'm oversupplied with majority of my stock. So it's possible that brand managers and category managers are still oversupplying, due to these promotion, and basically are not reacting well on that. Just for the purpose of presentation, this we have a few lines here. On hand stock is something that we actually have on hand. In transit is something that is already coming to our stores. And we took 4 days sales quantity as an example, just to see if we're overstock or understock. So of course, here you can have a much more complex formula or something that suits your company, of course. Yeah, and where's the catch? I mean, we're losing sales. We have lots of these in oversupply, and on the other hand side, when I take a look in stores, almost 60% of them are short. Okay, so let's dig a little bit deeper into store analysis. If I for a second remove these 4 items, I can see what's the situation for all of the items. So this red dot is this 4-day sales quantity, and I can see that in majority of those I'm really well oversupplied, which is then again not that great. Same thing here, just a little more different visualization. So yeah, most of them is above my 4-day volume. And this histogram is also interesting because it shows me that there are only 2 stores which have these items. Let me select back these 4 items that I were looking at. Okay, there are only a couple of stores with those items undersupplied. Okay, so that's quite good for me. And let's see actually who would those be. So if I take a look at the map, so red ones would be the stores which have all of the 4 selected items undersupplied. Okay, so yeah, I can see one red ink here. Let me zoom in a bit. Yeah, it's city Canterbury. This is the number of my store. Yeah, and he tells me all of the 4 items that you're analyzing are actually under the needed stock. Okay, so now, I mean, what can I do? I would like to analyze a region around it and see if maybe there are some other stores with a better supply, to switch the items. And let's do it this way. When I put a selection in this city, in this store, I can also see a region where the store is located. What can I do is select a region. Please take a look up there. Okay, and delete a store from my selection. And these associations allow me then to see all the stores in the same region where this Canterbury is. Okay, and now I'll just switch to right hand side where I have items overs, like who is the overstock, and if I zoom it a little bit, I can see that quite near in a region I have 1 store with 3 items over, 1 store with 3 items over. Yeah, here's the one which has all of the items oversupplied. They're quite close. So maybe a good decision for me would be to focus on these 2 stores. Okay, and maybe send some small pickup to them just to transfer some of my items. Yeah, and what I get here is these 2 stores having the items oversupplied. The last step just to make sure that I'm not doing any damage to them would be, I'm not going to go deep in that, but what we can organize, of course, in this part of the solution is try to estimate potential lost sales, okay? So if these items are also top sellers in the regions that you're moving from or in the stores that you're moving from, you might experience some potential loss, yeah? But I'm not gonna go deep in this part because it's not that, of course, it's not that simple. I mean, you know that best. Yeah, that would actually be a second part. Let me just check some of the questions. Okay, for example, web servers or direct external connection. I guess this is a one question broke into two. Can you please show data structures, tables, connections, many to one from Listeš? Click you handle connections, for example. Okay, who's the typical user? Okay, yeah, I see you don't see questions, sorry. I'll repeat them out of the loud. And then I can jump onto a next, actually onto a final demo. So basically, the first question was, who is the typical user of this tool in the companies? I mean, from our example, from our experience, sorry, it really varies. You know, we have a company where 30 or 40 employees, 30 or 40% of employees are using this. And it really depends on how willing you are to give the data to the users. So for example, in a typical distribution company, those would definitely be brand managers or category managers. It depends how you're organized, entire sales team, okay, logistics or whoever is in charge for purchasing and for reordering processes, you know, because you all know how complex that is, especially if you have a lot of seasonality and 300 or 400 items that you're reordering. Yeah, and basically it goes all up to the C level, because yeah, I'm answering this slide, because if you take a look at these simple dashboard that I provided you in the first place, let me just come back to it. Yeah, if you take a look at this, it's quite simple to see this and ask a detailed question. For example, why did we have this kind of a drop in this period of year, okay? And probably the largest drops in our top sellers, okay? And now me as a, I don't know, C-level can ask a little more detailed question, you know, to someone below me. So yeah, I mean, users really vary from a top to bottom. Okay, second question was, can you please also show data structures, tables, connections, many to one, formulas, decks? Also, how does ClickView handle connections, for example, to NAV, for example, web services or direct SQL connection? Okay, just a little bit technical question for the agenda we were thinking of, but not a problem. Let me answer it in two ways. I'll give part of the answer now, and I would really like, I mean, just not to bother everyone with that if not needed, but continue this in a one-on-one session, if that's fine with you. So regarding the connections, I mean, connecting Click to basically anything, yeah, we still didn't pop to a solution which we couldn't connect to. I mean, for example, NAV has a standard SQL connector, which is out of the box by a Windows installation. Some of the, yeah, you mentioned AX, same thing. This is just a list of, then there's a list of 20 to 25 various web connectors. SAP as a solution has its own dedicated connector. You know, I mean, SAP users are one of the happiest Click users, because really in a matter of a week, we can get something out and show you something, you know, and then of course it takes time to get that to production level. But yeah, and that's it. And regarding the data modeling and scripting, I would not dig too deep into that. I would just like to tell you that yeah, let me back to a question. So in a scripting part, it's SQL-like. It's a language close to SQL with, of course, some specific functionalities and functions that a Click has. Yeah. So building a data warehouse in a Click requires, let's say, SQL knowledge. Yeah. And front-end solution, which I'm currently working at, requires, let's say, Excel-like knowledge, so formulas in there, of course. adding a couple of great functionalities, but formulas in there are mostly simple Excel-like formulas. And the last part, just to answer you, and then I'm telling we can go into details in another technical session. So the last part would be this connections many-to-one formulas. So yeah, connections many-to-one, sorry. So basically, Qlik handles that in a bit different way. So connecting two tables requires you to have only one field connected between them. If you have multiple fields that you would like to connect, then we just do a composite key. Why is that? It's because Qlik functions on a little bit different level than, let's say, traditional stack vendors or relational databases. So what he has behind him, let me show you an example. So what he has behind him is associative data model. Now, what would that be? Let me find those low performers. Low performers. I think that's a good example. Yeah, here they are. Okay. So low performers, and I think I had those. Yeah, 3 worst ones. Okay. Now take a look at this filter. So I had 3 of them in a green color, showing me my selection or what I selected. And then rest of them are not disappeared. I have them colored in light gray or in dark gray. Okay, so these in light gray actually are those sales reps which have association to my other selection, which would mean there are other low performers. Okay, and those one dark gray are ones that absolutely do not have any association in whole data model, in whole data set with my other selections. So that means that those dark grays would be high performers. Okay, so these parts here have an association and doesn't have an association. Those can be also used as a function. So for example, think of this if you're in a fast moving sales and you have customers that basically buy every week. Just take that as an example. So what we can give you is a report showing only those which had sales a week before and 2 weeks before, but didn't have any sales yet in this week. Okay, so it basically summarizes, I don't know, thousands of customers and focus you to only those that you feel relevant. Okay, so for example, yeah, I think it's a good example. So did have sales in previous period, didn't have sales in this period, or I don't know, had sales like a year before and now 3 consecutive months didn't have sales. Now, of course, if you have a couple of key accounts, you'll be well aware of it. But if you have many customers, it might help you, focus on them more easily. I know I didn't answer it in a full, but yeah, please let's just dig into a little more technical details on the other session. Yeah, and basically, last part that I will show is this one that I mentioned a little bit out of the box. Okay, so just to give you something to think of and to see. I can say full potential of analytics in your everyday work is, so this is the one example. It has the data of sales, customers, cities, populated with some smart geodata. Now I'll show you what. I'll focus on USA for this demo example. So what I have in USA is 6 stores, okay? For each and every store, I know number of customers, average number of customers per 1,000 inhabitants, etc. So they're all colored differently. And some overall KPIs, so number of customers, sales penetration, average revenue, etc. Okay, so what is actually my goal is to analyze if I have a potential for a new store which wouldn't cannibalize the current ones. Okay, so what I have here is marked areas of 5, 10, and 15 minutes of a drive from a store. Okay, so let's focus on one to make it more simple. So dark green, okay, is the area beside the store which can be caught in less than 5-minute driving. Okay, green one is the area out of which people can come in 10 minutes drive, and the totally light green area is the one that people need 15 minutes to come. Okay, and now if I jump back to all, you can see that there are obviously some of the areas which are overlapping, which is not that bad, since those are, you know, distant areas, like 15 or 20 minutes to come to a store. Yeah, but however, I can see that there are some areas which are populated and geographically quite close to my stores, but because of the routes and the traffic, you know, they need more than 20 minutes to arrive to any of my stores. So that's why I came up with this idea. Okay, to dig just a little more deeper. Okay, this is maybe a better overview. So everything that you see yellow here is the place, an area where inhabitants can come in less than 15 minutes. Yeah, and everything which is gray and not colored is above 15 minutes. Yeah, so this is why if I take a look to my suburban area, yeah, that's why I basically am thinking of getting another store. Okay, and now to come to a last part. This is a little more detailed analysis. I won't bother you a lot with it. Just take a look at this 900. So that's a zip code, okay? And from that, I can see that customers tend to go to this store and not this store. Obviously, you need a quality data for this. So, for example, loyalty or some kind of questionnaires as a complementary data to it. Yeah, but yeah, let's focus on a most important part. So, if you take a look at these customer behaviors and a driving distance, which you can see that for each and every store. So this is one store, second store, third store, and sixth store. Yeah, you can see that number of customers that come in there and how much time do they need of driving, you know. And yeah, you can see that basically I think around 70%, it's a histogram, so I can't estimate, it comes there with less of 20 minutes driving. So that's their habit, you know. That's why we're focused on 15 minutes analysis, you know. And so what I'm going to do is estimate, you know, a new area which is not covered in this gray part, you know, which would cover most of population per one point, and think of it as my new potential store, you know. And analysis, geoanalytics told me that this here might be a good part, you know. It has around 500,000 population in 15 minutes drive. Again, that's important parameter. Why am I mentioning it? Okay. And final double check is if I show my new location on a map with existing ones, okay, that I can see that this 15-minute drive is not too much of overlapping. Okay, so yeah, a little bit here and a little bit here of course cannibalization. It can be put in numerical measurements, obviously, but then again, it gives me, I think I have a lot of KPIs in the last here. Yeah, it covers around, you know, 800K inhabitants with a potential customers per year and potential revenue per year. Okay, so this is just a short example where, I mean, what can you do in your industry, depending on where you come from? There's definitely going to be different tasks. What can you do, you know, if you have these basics covered, you know, basics, then again, jumping on the first slide, meaning that you covered all the historical information, historical data, and that you actually have some time to think about something that's going to value add, you know, to your company. So that would more or less be it. Yeah, it's around 40 minutes as promised to you. If you have any questions, I mean, feel free to write them in Q&A. Obviously, if you have any second thoughts, any part that you would like to cover into more details, I know this is just a glance and just an overview, but as mentioned, my major intention was to keep you awake for 45 minutes, you know, because I know how webinars of hour and a half work. I put it on my second screen and that's it. Yeah, some notification jumped here. Yeah, I mean, this is quite generic. Yeah, the second one is cool. How long does it take from start to finish a project? It's quite generic, you know. It depends what a project is and what a case is. But what I can tell you is that in a companies of in our region, we were able to deliver some kind of solution in days or weeks time frame. Okay, so give you first data to play with. And of course, depending if you have covering whole, I don't know, sales, finance, purchase department, those are definitely projects of I don't know, 3 to 4 calendar months. But then again, this is now so generic that I'm actually throwing numbers. Yeah, I mean, those are not ERP wise projects. Those are not that complex projects like if you were building BI 10 years ago. You know, that's something that really you can get a result much faster. How do we prove our bosses we need this? Yeah, I mean, it depends how your bosses like you or don't like you. It's always the same question. I mean, they somehow get their data and get their answers, you know, and most of the time they do not care why. How. But then again, I mean, first thing is that there is obviously some man labor cost behind it, you know. So if you have a mid-level manager in your company, let's take example, brand manager, you know, with his gross payroll, and he's just preparing reports for 6 hours a day. Here we go, first cost, you know, let that person do something smarter. But yeah, that's maybe a good add up on a second question, return on investment. Let's dig case by case a little more deeper, you know. I mean, I guarantee you that if you have a business issue and you need data for it, it's going to be really easy for you to find return on investment. So for example, we did a project, yeah, it was end of last year in a manufacturing company in Slovenia. And it was an optimization project, you know. So they had an issues in manufacturing, a lot of waste, a lot of third shifts or weekend shifts, etc. So it was some kind of integration of a solution you're looking at currently, and I think Python, yeah, Python. And that kind of optimization actually gave them some crazy return on investment. So for example, no Saturday shifts to deliver same amount of the items, and 6 figures cost savings in on annual basis. Of course, depending on how big revenue yours is, it's either huge or not for you. But yeah, if you define the case well, I mean, there are some serious return on investments there that you can catch. Who is using this in our region? Yeah, that's my bad. Maybe that was a good information for you in the beginning. Luckily, I have a deck of slides here. Let me just share one with you. So basically, um, yeah, they're hidden. This is just a summary or extract of a couple of companies that we've been working with for a long time. Each and every of them has really different use case. Some of them covered whole analytics from sales, marketing, board members, purchasing, manufacturing, transport and logistics. Some of them trying to optimize their sales force on a field, you know. Some of them using this to boost performance management in their team. So really various of them. Yeah, but the list is, let me give you a link maybe. Yeah, it's not that simple. It's not that complex. So group.com/references. I mean, there are few slides over there when you choose business intelligence as our solution. So yeah, I think you can find something of your interest there. And of course, there are a couple of case studies which might help you just to see where is the exact use case in some of the companies. But yeah, if you have any detailed questions, feel free to ask. Okay, that's it, I guess. If there are no other questions, I'd like to thank you for your attention. I hope it was an attention. I hope you're still sitting at your screen. If I were able just to open a few questions in your head, then I think this was a successful webinar. However, all of these projects are change management always, and takes a lot of time for an idea to a realization. It would be much faster if we started with the realization immediately. But yeah, understand how does that work. Yeah, thank you all, and I guess you had a lot of time to write down this simple email, my name.surname@adacta.hr, if you have any questions. So thanks a lot, and hope to see you soon in some kind of a similar event. Thank you.